and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to approval of the agenda.
I move approval of the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We have approved the agenda. Next, we'll move on to approval of the minutes, and that would include the meeting minutes from the City Council work session from April 28th, 2026, and the City Council regular meeting on April 28th, 2026.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And we have approved the minutes. Next, we're moving on to the open forum. And I would like to state that I am deeply saddened by the shooting that happened 2 weeks ago. I would like to extend continued wishes for healing and recovery to Sergeant Leone and Sergeant Schultz. I also extend my condolences to the family of Mr. Hollis. These tragedies impact our entire community. Please be kind to each other and make sure those around you are okay. The body-worn camera footage has been released to the public. However, the BCA investigation is ongoing, so it's not appropriate for council members to comment on the details of the case at this time. During open forum, participants can share their comments in person by voicemail or email, or may request to participate virtually. For more information on submitting comments, refer to the council agenda and minutes page on richfieldmn.gov/citycouncil. If we have changed the policy so you don't have to tell your exact address, you just need to state if you're a Richfield resident or not, so please give your name and the city of residence. And then when you get about 30 seconds left, I'll hold this up, and when your time is up, I'll hold up the red card. So just so everyone is aware of what those things are. And it looks like we have two open forum requests. Is there anything else, City Clerk Friedrich, that was turned in?
We did not receive any emails today.
All right, thank you. So I'm gonna make sure I've got my things set here to go. All right, so our first person that would like to speak is Shara Blanche. So if you want to come up and address the council, thank you.
Thank you. When I said 6.5 years ago, after the homicide of Brian Quinones, that I
Excuse me,
hoped,
can you state your name and city of residence?
my apologies, Shara Blanche, I'm a Richfield resident. When I said 6.5 years ago, after the homicide of Brian Quinones, that I hoped we would not be here again, I meant that. For anyone who thinks the word homicide is inflammatory, it is how the medical examiner described his death. I am saddened by the loss of life that happened at the hands of Richfield Police 2 weeks ago tonight. DeSavior Hollis was a son, a brother, a nephew, and an uncle. To whoever called the police about a prowler, I hope you realize that the few quarters DeSavior may have gotten wasn't worth him losing his life. Also, locking your car is common sense. I have more questions than answers after watching the video that was released yesterday. The narrative the Richfield Police has put out to the media puts them in the best light possible with the circumstances. There are many things to consider, not just gun, not or even shot. I encourage everyone to read the state and federal laws that govern police conduct, the city's police policies, and to know your rights in your interactions with police to be a fully informed member of our community. To Jay Henthorne, Katie Rodriguez, and the City Council, I urge you to review your policies, procedures, and training through the lens of the death of DeSavior Hollis, so that you can uphold the very first portion of your mission, which is safeguarding lives. City Council, Jay and Katie report to you, and we elect you to uphold their mission. I hope you take that seriously to better safeguard our community's lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Nikki Holliday.
Good evening. My name is Nikki Holliday. I share residency with Florida and the state of Minnesota. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm speaking on behalf of the family of DeSavior Brian Hollis as their delegated legal liaison, but also as a mother and a human. I would like to make a public statement and pose several questions for the record, even if they cannot be answered tonight. I just want them on public record. I want to begin by acknowledging the deep sadness surrounding the events of the early morning of April 29th. DeSavior Hollis' life meant far more than the circumstances that are alleged to surround his passing. He was a young man with hopes and dreams, including one day traveling to Paris. He also endured profound trauma early in life, including the loss of his father at just 7 years old when his father was murdered. That loss shaped him in ways that many of us will never understand, and by the family's account, that he never recovered from. The family and DeSavior himself sought support and guidance through his life's challenges, and what they are now left with is the belief that he was treated as disposable in the mental health community in the state of Minnesota, which will be another topic up at the top. I share in their grief and cannot imagine their pain, while we recognize that the officers may also experience fear and trauma in high-stress situations. They are trained and expected to respond with discipline, with restraint and accountability. After viewing the body-worn camera footage provided to the family and then released to the public 20 minutes after they walked out of that meeting, there are several concerns regarding the actions of the officers involved, specifically Officers Mario Leon and Christian Schultz. The level of force used during the incident that resulted in DeSavior's death is questionable. The community should also be deeply concerned by what appears to be reckless gunfire in a residential area with innocent residents, including individuals asleep inside nearby apartments. They may have been placed at risk. The window directly in front of where the gunfire exchange occurred was a 16-year-old autistic boy with the mind of a 4-year-old that was looking out the window. The footage raises significant questions regarding firearm safety, tactical decision-making, and the protection of surrounding civilians whose homes and windows were directly exposed during the shooting. This warrants serious reflection on public safety, standards, and officer training within the city of Richfield. This also raises additional questions regarding whether Officer Leon sustained a right arm injury as stated in the footage by himself, and whether that injury may have resulted from gunfire discharged by his own officer, Officer Schultz, who appears to have been positioned to the right of Officer Leon and was firing in the direction. I'm almost done. The family is requesting clarification and full review of these circumstances through their attorney. There's also a third officer. I'm just wondering if the city council is aware of that officer and if they are also being reviewed for their interaction, as they had their weapon drawn on that footage as well. There are still critical questions that need to be answered. We are asking the city council to recognize this tragedy extends beyond the one life lost. It also includes trauma experienced by the community. In that video, if you've watched it, after DeSavior disarmed himself and threw the gun away, there was an additional 10 shots fired. And I just ask, was that excessive force?
Ma'am,
Thank you.
your time is up. Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? All right, anyone else who wishes to speak for the open forum? Could you pass those to the city clerk? All right, then we're going to move on from the open forum. Next, we'll go on to the proclamations and presentations. And for the first proclamation, I would like to, we're going to be doing the proclamation celebrating Jewish American Heritage Month, and I'm going to be joined by two of our Richfield residents, Ken Liss and Doris Rubenstein. If you could join me up at the podium. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to the Human Rights Commission that put together this proclamation. This is a proclamation of the City of Richfield. Whereas Jewish American Heritage Month celebrates the culture, heritage, and traditions of Jewish Americans and all their achievements and contributions to Richfield, Minnesota, the United States, and the world. And whereas 2026 marks the 46th annual celebration of achievements and contributions by Jewish Americans, starting with the establishment of Jewish American Heritage Week in 1980 and expanded upon in 2006 when President George W. Bush and Congress ordered that the country observe an annual Jewish American Heritage Month each May. And whereas over 7.5 million Jewish Americans have contributed to the many aspects of American society, including arts, education, sports, law, medicine, and public service, and more. And whereas Jewish Americans have fought honorably, a number earning the Medal of Honor to ensure freedom by serving in colonial militias in the American Revolution and all American military conflicts since the establishment of the United States. And whereas Richfield is home to important Jewish cemeteries, including the Minneapolis Jewish Cemetery founded in 1890, the United Hebrew Brothers Cemetery, Gimelus Hesed Cemetery, and the B'nai Emet Cemetery. And whereas we celebrate the rich heritage of the Jewish American community, we recognize tireless work to strengthen the promise of religious freedom and civil rights by joining together with all faiths to reject ignorance and intolerance, teach empathy and compassion, and root out hatred wherever it exists. And whereas the City of Richfield is proud of the people, community, and businesses of Jewish Americans, we look forward to the continuing success of Jewish Americans in our community. And whereas the Richfield Human Rights Commission supported a proclamation celebrating Jewish American Heritage Month at its April 7th, 2026 meeting. Now, therefore, I, Mary Supple, Mayor of Richfield, on behalf of the Richfield City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2026 as Jewish American Heritage Month in the City of Richfield, and call on the people of Richfield to continue to observe this month with appropriate programs, activities, and ceremonies, and continue to honor the contributions of Jewish Americans throughout the year. Proclaim this 12th day of May 2026. And if either of you would like to speak?
Okay. Well, thank you, Mayor Seppel. As a member of the school board and a Jewish resident of Richfield, I am honored to receive this. And it really gives me pleasure that in this political climate, we're still brave enough to acknowledge Jewish Americans as Americans and donators to the culture and life here in Richfield. Thank you.
I've lived in Richfield now for almost 42 years. When I moved to Richfield, there were, I think, 2 other Jewish households. And now, by my best count, there's probably close to 40, if not more. Why I came to Richfield, it was a great location. Why I've stayed in Richfield is because of its welcoming atmosphere to all groups, to Jewish people, to Latinos, to people from Africa. This is a community where everyone works together as Americans and Richfielders. Thank you very much for inviting me.
All right, thank you. And we have one for each of you, and I guess we have a picture here we're going to take. Next, we have a proclamation for Peace Officers Memorial Day. Whereas the people of this community wish to join with the entire nation in recognizing the valor, bravery, and dedication to duty of our law enforcement officers, and whereas President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation which designated May 15th as Peace Officer Memorial Day and the week in which that date falls as Police Week, and declared that all flags in the United States will be flown at half-staff on that date. And whereas 363 new names were added to the National Monument in 2026, and whereas the City of Richfield recognizes that our own law enforcement officers, who day after day, hour by hour, serve not only as law enforcement agents of this city to protect life and property, but also indeed friend, neighbor, and guardian. Now therefore, I, Mary Supple, Mayor of the City of Richfield, do hereby proclaim May 10th through 16th, 2026 as National Police Week, and May 15th, 2026 as Peace Officer Memorial Day in the City of Richfield, and call upon every citizen to honor and memorialize those law enforcement officers in this country and city who have lost their lives in the defense of our homes, families, or property, and to join with our law enforcement officers in acknowledging our thanks for their service, valor, and dedication to duty, and our pledge of continued support for their unending war on crime and promotion of safety through enforcement in the year ahead. Proclaimed the 12th day of May, 2026. Chief Henthorn, did you want to say something?
Thanks, Mayor. Madam Mayor and members of the council, this week we especially remember the officers who made that ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty, and we honor their families who continue to carry the loss. Unfortunately, the St. Paul Police Department will be making that homage out to the National Memorial in Washington, D.C., and adding another name to that wall. I also, and most importantly, want to thank our Richfield police officers for serving today, for their commitment, their dedication, their professionalism, their courage in protecting our community every day. It's a selfless act every time they come to work and they put on the badge and they serve our citizens with distinction. So thank you.
Did you want a picture of that one too? Next, we'll move on to the consent calendar. City Manager Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor. The consent calendar contains several separate items which are acted upon by the City Council in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and recommended actions have also been approved. No further council action on these items is necessary. On tonight's consent calendar, item A, approved disbursements claims. Item B, Richfield 4th of July Committee Celebration License Application. Item C, consider a resolution authorizing the mayor and city manager to finalize and execute a cooperative construction agreement with the State of Minnesota Department of Transportation, contract number 1061135 for the 73rd Street Trail project completed in 2025. Item D, consider approval of a request for a new secondhand goods dealer license for Eco ATM LLC located at 6540 Penn Avenue South, which is located in CBS. Item E, consider a resolution authorizing the mayor and city manager to enter into an agreement, not an argument, with the Conservation Corps of Minnesota for installation of rain gardens funded by the Richfield Bloomington Watershed Management Organization grant program. Item F, site plan approval for conversion of a retail tenant space to a fitness studio at 6503 Nicollet Avenue South. Item G, consideration of the approval of a temporary on-sale intoxicating liquor license from the 4th of July Committee for events scheduled at Veterans Memorial Park, July 4th, 2026. And I submit these items for your consideration on tonight's consent calendar.
I move approval of the consent calendar.
Second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I did want to take a moment to thank the 4th of July Committee because I know that they've put a lot of work into that, and that's on here, 2 different things for that, and so I want to say a special thank you to them. And then I learned just this week what an Echo ATM was. I didn't realize when I saw Secondhand Dealers Good what that was, and apparently it's a place that you can turn in old phones and laptops and things like that. So just in case other people were wondering about that as well. So is there any other discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And we have approved the consent calendar. Next, we'll move on to proposed ordinances, and I'll go to item 10A with Councilmember Burke.
So the item for consideration is to consider the first reading of an ordinance amending subsection 210.01 of the city code related to city council salaries for 2027 and 2028. Chapter 2, Section 210 of the City Code establishes the salaries of the City Council. Subsection 210.01, Subdivision 5 provides that salaries of council members shall be reviewed by the City Council by May 1st in each year in which an election is held pursuant to Section 200 of the Code. An ordinance amending the salaries established by this section must not take effect until after the next succeeding municipal election. City Council discussed council salaries during the April 28th, 2026 work session and directed staff to prepare the ordinance with no increase, 0% increase, over the next 2 years for mayor and council member salaries. Staff, any further information?
I'm available for questions.
So, motion is to approve the first reading of the ordinance amending subsection 210.01 of the City Code related to City Council salaries and schedule the second reading for May 26, 2026.
All right, Councilmember Burke has made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, Councilmember Burke?
Just a quick comment that it just seems like the wrong time for the City Council to be asking for a salary increase. It was, to me, was simple as that. These are tough times for many people, and it just seemed wrong to add. Even though it wouldn't have been a large increase to the budget, it just seemed like the wrong time to do it. So, nothing further.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right, the motion is before us. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? And we have approved the recommended action. Next, we'll move on to item 11A under resolutions. Councilmember Coleman Woods.
Okay, so the item for consideration is modifying the General Services and Post-Employment Healthcare Savings Plan and Management Post-Employment Healthcare Savings Plan. In 2001, the Minnesota legislature granted the Minnesota State Retirement System the authority to offer a post-employment health care savings plan to eligible employees of the state of Minnesota and other governmental subdivisions. The health care savings plan is an employer-sponsored program that allows employees to set aside funds to pay for medical expenses and or health insurance premiums after separation from employment. Employees may select from various investment options offered through the State Board of Investment. Contributions to the HCSP are tax-free, earnings accumulate tax-free, and distributions used for eligible medical expenses remain tax-free. The primary driver for this modification is the implementation of the new pay structure adopted by the City Council in 2024, following the completion of the Baker-Tilly compensation and class study. As a result, language referencing the former pay structure has been removed and replaced with language that aligns with the new framework. Under the updated structure, employees in the general pay plan, grade 12 and below, are included in the General Services Post-Employment Healthcare Savings Plan, while employees in the general pay plan, grade 13 and above, are part of the Management Post-Employment Healthcare Savings Plan. And the motion is, is there any comments from staff?
Just again to explain that this is language cleanup following the Baker-Tilly study and implementing that new pay plan.
Great. Any other comments? Great. The motion before us is then to adopt the resolution modifying the General Services Post-Employment Healthcare Savings Plan and Management Post-Employment Healthcare Savings Plan.
Okay, Councilmember Woods has made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
This time.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, then we have passed that resolution. Next, we'll move on to the city manager's report.
Nothing to report tonight.
So City Manager Rodriguez, I would like to bring up one topic. In the past year and occasion, and most recently after the shooting, there were inappropriate comments made on our social media platforms. And I would like the council to be able to re-examine our social media policy. And to that end, it would help for staff to bring back pertinent information so the council can discuss it and make an informed decision about whether we should turn off the commenting on posts on social media. You know, at this point, my take on it was that I think we should turn it off because we can't control some of the inappropriate things that are being said. But I need to hear what other people have and pertinent information.
Yes, we can certainly gather some information and bring it back. I'm thinking maybe 15 minutes at a work session for the council members to discuss, but if council members could weigh in, if they feel like they would like staff to bring that back to them at a future work session, we can do that.
So are people wanting us to bring that back to discuss?
Yes, I certainly would, yeah.
I would agree.
Agree.
Okay, so we'll put that on a future agenda. Is there anything else anybody would like to ask the city manager about? All right, then at that point, we will move on to council discussion for either hats off to Hometown Hits or the council liaison reports. So go ahead, Councilmember Burke.
I do have a council liaison report that the Human Rights Commission is looking forward to having the city clerk talk to them about voting rights. And keep in mind that this is a public session, and I encourage the public to be there. I'm sure we'll all be well informed about rights, voting rights. So thank you to the city clerk for doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Hayford O'Leary.
It hasn't been hit yet, but I think it will be a hit. This Friday, I'll be helping lead a tour of Richfield and Bloomington for the National Association of City Transportation Officials Conference, which is in Minneapolis this week. So it'll be an opportunity to have about 25 people from the region and outside of the region tour Richfield and see some of our successes and give us ideas. And I wanted to give a particular thank you to Joe Powers, the city engineer, Kristen Asher, Public Works Director, and Matt Huggins from Hennepin County for helping lead this tour.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Christensen.
Nothing tonight.
Councilmember Coleman Woods.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe at the last joint city council or the joint commission meeting between the Community Services Commission and the Sustainability Commission, we've talked about there's still some trees for sale for the purchase through the Public Works Department tree sale. And then also, I believe on May 1st, there was compost at the Donaldson Park field or parking lot there for folks that were using it for gardening. I don't know how much is left though, so it's totally gone. Okay, thanks, Mayor. And then I believe there was a successful shredding event, which I think also allowed us to recycle some old electronics as well. That was in the Ice Arena parking lot. So thanks to both of those commissions for pulling it together.
All right, thank you. I had two things I wanted to announce. The Bring It Home Minnesota is a new program that provides rental assistance to low-income qualified households currently renting in the city of Richfield. And the program will open for applications from 10 a.m. on Tuesday, June 9th until 4 p.m. on Tuesday, June 16th. And so you should check out the city's website for more information or contact our staff member, Lynette Chambers. So that's the Bring It Home Minnesota program. The second one is from the Citizens Utility Board. And the Citizen Utility Board has launched the Lights On Homes Warm Utility Bill Fund as a temporary effort to help Minnesotans struggling with their utility bills. To apply for support, you can contact the Citizens Utility Board at 651-300-4701 and press 9 to reach the Cubs outreach team. The Cubs staff will discuss multiple program options and available protections. The Lights On Homes Warm Utility Bill Fund is a temporary program, and it closes no later than October 31st, 2026. But the Citizens Utility Board will continue to be a resource for all Minnesotans regarding their utility bills. So I would urge you to go to the Citizens Utility Board website if you need more information about that. With that, thank you all, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Also move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And we stand adjourned. Thank you.